Aloha, business and applied arts. With spring break just around the corner, I couldn't resist the temptation to get started just a little early. It's my sincere hope that you too are looking forward to the break, and whether you're going somewhere or not, that you take the opportunity to relax, recharge your batteries before the stretch run when we come back. But before you go, there's a few important updates that I want to share with you as it will impact our immediate work and our longer-term strategy when we get back. The first important update is on budget. And I'm sure that most, if not all of you, have heard by now that we have a gap between our projected revenues and our projected expenses for next year. We'll need to get creative in how we close, in fact, reduce that gap to zero. I'll get to that in just a minute. But first, I want to share with you some directives that came out of our district board meeting just over a month ago on February 1st. Number one, develop a balanced budget without the use of general fund balance or any short-term borrowing for operating cash flow purposes. That means we won't borrow or use our strategic reserves to balance the budget. Number two, budget for 8,800 full-time equivalent students in fiscal year 2017-2018. Number three, reduce personnel spending below 80% of total general fund spending in 17-18 and explore maintaining or continuing to decrease that percentage to 75% over the subsequent 2 to 5 years, and whenever possible by employing strategies that minimize the impact on current employees through attrition, not filling positions, etc. Number four, establish and maintain an annual contingency of 3% of budget revenue. Based on this budget, that's roughly $4.5 million. And we need that as a hedge against not meeting our enrollment targets, for unanticipated or emergency expenses, or to capitalize on unforeseen opportunities that may arise during the year. Number five, there will be periodic updates to the board and the college and an annual assessment on our progress towards those goals. So those are the budget directives we've been given, and I want to talk about number two and number three for just another minute. As you all know, enrollments have been trending downward the past few years after a large spike that began in 2007 and peaked in 2011 at about 11,000 FTEs. From there, we have gradually over the past 5 years trended down to 8,720 FTE, which is where we stand right now today. And based on a variety of inputs and demographic information for our district, projections indicate that we should budget at 8,800 FTEs for next year. This is essentially a return to 2006 levels. However, what's different today than in 2006 is that in 2006 we had roughly 800 full-time employees at our college, serving just over 8,800 FTE, and today we have roughly 1,000 full-time employees. And that's an increase that's spread across all employee types. Administrators, faculty, and PSRP will serve about the same number of FTE. The graphic on your screen shows the trend over the last 10 years. So with shrinking enrollment and revenues and rising personnel costs, what we've been directed to do collectively as a college is to reduce our personnel costs over the next year, so by summer 2018, from 83.4% of our overall budget to less than 80%, or about $5 million. And over the longer term, explore getting those costs closer to 75%. The reason for those percentages is that we have to make some long-term structural changes, and the national average for institutions of higher education for instructional costs relative to overall budget is 75%. And in comparison to our sister colleges in the WTCS and to peer institutions around the country, our costs are currently higher there as well. So in real numbers, we're currently looking at about a $7 million budget gap, which is down from about $9 million in early February as the projections become more clear. Structurally reducing our instructional costs gets us a long way towards balancing our budget for next year and for subsequent years, but not all the way. Reducing the remaining gap to zero is going to require us to seek some new efficiencies and creative solutions to how we conduct our business. As we close out this year and look ahead to next year, here are some key things identified as guiding strategies that we'll need to consider and that I encourage you all to think about as well. Position management. Over the course of the next year, we'll continue to deploy many of the same strategies that we have for the past few. We'll continue to critically evaluate all current vacancies and all other positions as they become vacant through retirement or separation, and we'll need to continue to think creatively about reducing, redefining, and in some cases, combining positions where the opportunity arises. I'm encouraged by things we've already been able to do in combining positions and creating hybrid roles for people, which is something we'll need more of. Section and capacity management. We've made some tremendous strides in this area over the past few years, but it's one that we'll need to continue to work on. We need to fill all sections to the max extent that we can, collapse sections where possible, look at increasing our minimums where we can, and look at our class caps where there's opportunity. We completed an analysis based on this past fall 2016 schedule and found that if we increased caps on just online sections from 25 to 30, that we would have likely reduced 14 sections on the schedule at significant savings to the college. This is one change I would like to put in place for the fall 2017 semester, and I'll be communicating with all program directors and chairs with a request to revise schedules to reflect caps of 30 for online courses this fall. Innovative scheduling and deploying talent in new ways. There could be great opportunity in the year ahead for some of our faculty, where there is demand and where appropriate, to stack credit and non-credit courses, or to have a new type of load, teaching some credit, some non-credit, and even professional development or contract training all as one load. This is not at all out of the question and could be highly beneficial to the college. We've done some of this in isolation the last few years, but there's great potential for this to become more the norm in some areas. Could also have some people teaching in summer and fall, or spring-summer, or other alternative arrangements where there's potential. We also will need to take a critical look at service activities in the year ahead to ensure that all non-teaching activities have a high ROI. Along the lines of deploying people in new ways, we'll need to accelerate the excellent work that has occurred through our program and department chair pilot. In the weeks ahead, you can expect to hear more about the next phase of the pilot and some modifications to our internal structure as a result of the work that has been completed thus far. Integration of degrees and credentials. We need to continue to reduce redundancies across our programs and explore more interdisciplinary opportunities within our school and across other schools. And then what are we not going to do? Obviously, this is the hardest question of them all to consider. But we will need to take a critical look at the things we're currently doing and make some hard decisions in the year ahead about what is and is not sustainable. And then finally, new revenue opportunities. I think many of the things just touched upon directly relate to added value and new revenues for the college, but there certainly is much more opportunity for us in new types of services, programming, and in other ways we can leverage the world-class talent we have at our college. So in closing, we definitely have some challenges in front of us. I also think we have some tremendous opportunities to reimagine how we work and to explore new avenues. So please bring any ideas you have forward and be thinking about and discussing these topics as you work with your programs and departments to plan for next year. Toward the end of March or early April, we'll be sending out our survey to collect service plans for next year. And along with that, we'll be collecting the activities you have planned for FQAS for the coming year as well. So here's wishing you an excellent spring break and rest of the semester, and I look forward to working with you when we come back.